welcome to all our viewers as we bring you this latest episode of Seasonal Insights. This time, as our guest, we have Mr. Sunny Punamiya, who is a respected counsel specializing in criminal cases with a specific focus on cases related to PMLA. I'm sure that this episode will be interesting and I would say important to a lot of people. And I would request you all to kindly watch fully and also subscribe to this channel. It'll help us going forward. Thank you. I now welcome Mr. Sunny Punamiya to this episode. Welcome to this episode, Mr. Sunny Punamiya. It's a pleasure to see you, especially after, I think that was last month, right, when we met at Bombay. And thank you for the hospitality and the excellent launch that you did there for the book.
Thank you.
Primarily, Seasonal Insight is something that we have come up with where we talk to our authors and others who have had, journeys which people can take inspiration from. So, first of all, I think I would like to ask you about your journey so far in terms of the choice, specifically the choice of your career and the specific focus area that you are in. So I think we'll start with that.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Gauri Shankar. It was a pleasure to have you at the book launch event, and I hope you really had a good time. Now, having considered your inquisitive inquiry as to why the field of financial crime, it's a question I get from various members of the society, because the popular choice is corporate law or real estate law, where the perception is that the money is quicker and there is a sort of an air of standard practice insofar as corporate law is concerned. The clients are corporate houses, etc. So then why financial crime? So first of all, the raw answer is sheer passion. I tried my hand at corporate law. I worked at corporate law firms. I worked at real estate law firms. I worked with honorable judges of the High Court that specialized and took up assignments concerning civil matters. And then I took up an internship at a reputed and a renowned criminal lawyer in Mumbai. There was a stark difference in my interest levels when I worked at the criminal lawyers' chamber. And when I would go to the Sessions Court and the Supreme Court and the High Courts with him for criminal law matters, I could see that I have a natural instinct for criminal law matters. So I safely decided it's better and it's wiser to go for the passion for the subject and not just follow the money.
No, I completely agree with you. It is like trying my hand at different things, and then I've had my career across different industries, and I finally find that my niche is actually publishing.
How nice!
after something like 35 years.
So maybe I got lucky. Maybe I found it a little earlier in life.
Earlier, yeah.
So I tell my friends that I have not worked a day in my life.
Yeah.
Because I love the subject.
No, I agree. I mean, every day for me also is different. Every book is different. Every author is different. Every subject is different. So it is something that keeps you going, makes you want to come to work every day. That's I think the most important thing.
Precisely.
So yeah. So going back to, I'll start off with your book. I'll try and show it here. We'll anyway put it on the this one. So you recently wrote this book and released it. It's very interesting reading.
Thank you.
And of course, many of the people mentioned in the book are fairly well known, and and the topics are also well known. While we read about them in the paper and stuff like that, this is a very different take on the whole thing in terms of what transpired. So, what made you choose this particular topic? There must have been a reason as to why you chose this topic, and I would say, it's written very differently in the sense that it is not like a regular legal commentary. It's easy reading, And I think it's a lot of information, which is very, very good. And like I said, for a layman like myself who's not a lawyer, it's easy to read and understand. So why this particular topic and why this format?
Thank you so much. In fact, you answered the question for me, Mr. Gauri Shankar. The
Mhm,
idea was to make PMLA law, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, accessible to a larger audience. And the larger audience could be a curious mind like you, a law student, or an aspirational junior who sees these big counsels doing these big ticket matters in money laundering offenses and cases, but doesn't know anything about how to approach the law. And why do I say that? I say that because PMLA as an act is so complex, it is so
mhm,
interconnected and so nuanced that a raw junior will get intimidated if he picks up the statute book and even starts reading.
mhm,
Before he gets to the judgments to understand the subject, he will
mhm.
be completely clueless what do the judgments mean, because judgments are even more hyper technical than the law itself.
Yeah, right.
Has
Mm,
taken me years and years of continuous reading of these judgments, going back and forth, and the statute book, bare act, and then having a full understanding of the law. Even today, only when I started to get matters under PMLA law and I started
mhm,
to appear in the courts, that's when I felt I have some grasp on the subject. So then that led me to a question. What do I do to make it more easier for that law student, that junior lawyer who has an aspirational desire to work in this field? That is
mhm,
why I wanted to simplify the language. And I noticed one thing, having said that, that nobody would read the submissions of the counsels for the accused. Every lawyer would straight come to the final judgment of the court.
yes, correct. Mhm,
I realized while writing the book that there is more to learn, even as a lawyer, from reading the submissions of the defense lawyers, because they are the ones that interpret the law and argue in the court,
right.
which you find in the text of these judgments.
Mhm,
So I wanted to highlight that aspect. And if anyone picks up the book and only reads the submissions of the great stalwarts of the Supreme Court and other high courts who have argued various points of law of PMLA, there is so much to learn and so much to grasp. And a different creative side of law opens up to a lawyer, which
mhm,
otherwise is passive. It's not as active because they are same kind of matters that
right.
so
Yeah.
that was the intention, to make it more
Mhm.
accessible.
Okay. And now coming to the format where you've chapterized the whole thing in such a way that I can pick up the book, which is actually what I did. I went to sections which I wanted to read first about specific cases instead of reading the book end to end.
Yeah,
So what was the need? What was the reason for formatting it in such a way that I can read any one chapter or the whole book in
yeah,
whatever order,
yeah.
and it still makes sense. So what is the reason for that?
The reason was to attract an interest in the reader that this
Mhm.
is not a law book. It's not a legal text. It's a
Yeah.
story about various interesting cases that's caught the attention of our country. And while reading it, it should read like a script of a movie or a story,
Yeah.
so that the reader grasps the entire subject, and without realizing subconsciously is also grasping the subject and the law
Hmm.
and the
Yeah.
arguments and what the Supreme Court noted. So the idea was that a traveler in a plane, or a commuter in a train, or a guy waiting in the court for his turn can pick up my book and start reading from any chapter that he so wants. And the first chapter that the people open is Mr. Arvind Kejriwal's case.
Yeah. No, no, you're right. And I actually started reading the book on the flight back.
Oh wow! Thank you so much.
So, I mean, I picked it up from you, right, when during the launch, and then I was taking the evening flight back, so that was my reading material for the flight.
Thank you. So
And subsequent to that, I finished it. So no, it's very interesting reading, and I think it is for my viewers. I think it's very important that it should be read by all, um, for the simple reason that I don't think. I mean, we see a lot of stuff in the media about financial crimes and things like that, but I don't know if it is taken as seriously as
yeah,
other crimes. I mean, this is my personal view, right?
yeah,
So people believe that it's only money, right? It's not
yeah,
only money. It's actually much more.
yeah.
So what are your views on that in terms of how does a financial crime, I know how it differs from a normal other forms of crime, but how does it affect the country?
It affects the country in a most serious way. Ultimately, the system is the trail of money which is unaccounted for finds itself in the system, in the functioning of our system. And how does this affect? If there is surplus of this money, there is higher consumerism, in the sense that for example, let me give an example. A cash rich builder can hold
Hmm?
on to the selling capacity of his flat. He will not go down below a certain rate of his flat. I'm giving a very raw example
Yeah, 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 yeah.
because he has, I'm assuming he has, it's just an example sake. I'm not targeting a particular
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
community of
Understood.
business. I'm just
Yeah.
giving an example. So, in case he has an unaccounted cash which he has not paid tax on, he can hold on to that flat that he intends to sell at, for example, 1,000 rupees per square feet, but the market rate is a lot lesser than that. If
Hmm?
he holds on to that, who is the end purchaser? Us
Yes.
consumers. And we would have to shell out more for a roof
More.
over our head. And if
Hmm.
a particular business entity follows a particular rate, it is bound to create a rippling effect. Let
Yes.
me take my example. I'm looking for a flat. The flat by a particular builder is at 10,000 per square feet, and another builder is 5,000 per square feet. The perception is extremely quick. This builder must be selling something premium.
Yeah.
The quality must be higher, must be
Yes.
giving me more. That's why he's selling at a higher rate. But he is
Right.
able to hold on only because he has unaccounted cash. He's a cash rich builder. This is a very basic example
Hmm.
that I wanted to share because it will affect everybody. It'll touch everybody's heart.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is
Yes.
a very small example of how an unaccounted money or proceeds of crime affect
Hmm.
even a common man without him knowing about it.
So it affects this way, and therefore it affects the economy as well, right? Of
Absolutely.
course. Yeah.
Absolutely, it does.
And once something sells at 10,000 per square feet, then that becomes the benchmark for the rest of the people.
Absolutely.
That's how it works.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, no, I understand. I mean, no, it's a very interesting point because I mean, the general perception is that when I mean, going back to your example, it's the same example, especially in real estate. That's the normal feeling. I mean, if something is selling at X price, which is higher than Y price,
Yeah.
it is believed that
Yeah.
it is better, and
Yeah.
that may not be the case.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, but I personally think, I mean, this is based on some experience as well and some, hearsay and anecdotal stuff. I don't think people are really tuned into how financial crime impacts. I mean, for example, if there is a bank fraud, for
Yeah.
example, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, it comes back to bite the general public.
Absolutely.
It is not generally understood.
Absolutely. There are so
So,
many bank frauds that have gone bust.
yes,
So many banks that have gone bust.
yeah,
The borrower is sitting on the loaned amount, is able to fight the litigation costs, and the people queuing outside the bank are common people
common people. Yeah,
because they're not able to withdraw their monies which they have saved and deposited in the bank.
yeah.
Another example of very small way it affects a common man without him knowing about it.
Yeah, I don't think it is really understood. We have seen quite a few in the last, decade plus.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately it comes down to, I read somewhere, I'm not sure exactly where, but while the bank finds it difficult to recover the money from the borrower, ultimately they do make it up.
Yeah.
I mean, minor changes here, there, and ultimately the common man pays.
RBI steps
But
in and lots
yeah.
of procedures are kicked in. The government saves the bank to save the people. But you know what is interesting to note is these financial statutes, financial crime statutes like PMLA, or these
Mhm.
days there is Fugitive Economic Offenders Act, which has
Yes.
been imposed upon some very famous businessmen who are absconding. It is in the right direction because it is
Mhm.
giving a tool to the government to attach the assets of
Yes.
these offenders,
Yes.
auction it, and distribute the sale proceeds amongst the victims.
The victims. Yeah. That's
So,
true.
yeah, earlier there was no penal provision which would come in aid of these victims. The accused would face a trial, get convicted, get bail, and he would be out.
Out.
But right now, his personal assets can be attached,
Mhm.
his family assets can be attached, which have no connection with the proceeds of crime, only to keep the interest of the victims in mind. So it's a great revolution in the field of criminal law and financial crime.
No, I understand. On the same topic, since you're a practitioner in this particular field and law, there is this public perception that PMLA is a draconian law. What are your views on that?
The title of the book answers that question. The title of the book is the PMLA Evolution, Judgments that Transformed the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. These 10 judgments that are there in the book, they have
Mhm.
liberalized the law. They have loosened the grip which the investigating agency had on the accused and the rights of the accused persons. They
Mhm.
have liberalized the arrests procedure. They have liberalized the procedure of arbitrary action by the authority under PMLA. And therefore, I would right now at this stage where the law stands, it has become a balanced law.
Mhm.
The authority under PMLA has been given the powers to prosecute, investigate. At the same time, the accused has now it's available a lot of remedies before him. And if there's any arbitrary action, the 10 judgments that are there in the book, they're a classic example as to how an accused can use those judgments to seek remedy in law.
Justice.
Were not there earlier.
Yeah.
So
I
they've
understand. I mean, it's important to know.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it's very important to know, and because that's a general perception is
yeah.
that. I mean, if
It
you ask anybody, that's what they would say. That
it is. It is.
it is very draconian. And on again, as an extension of that, do you think that this law, even in its evolved form or whichever form, has had a salutary effect on uh, the level of financial crimes?
Absolutely positive and negative.
Okay.
Positive is because I am getting a lot of queries as to how to avoid the application of this law. Let me give you an example. There was a fintech company that approached me recently only for an opinion about how to ensure that they are not violating any provision of the act, of the PMLA.
Hmm.
There are anti-money laundering rules that the act incorporates.
Hmm.
So a company now has become more consciously aware of the law that they have to comply with and the law in which they don't want to come under the net of.
Right.
That's a very positive impact. The negative impact are a lot less, I would say. The negative impact at the highest at one point in time were the arbitrary arrests under the act. But as I said, the judgments, the 10 judgments that are present in the book, have revolutionized and liberalized that procedure. Arrests
Hmm.
are mandatory under the law today, but there are certain checks and balances the Supreme Court has put. It is also important to understand that there are financial frauds being undertaken, that are being committed. So if one completely takes away the power of the investigating agencies, it'll have a very an imbalance uh, step in our economy. So it's important to give the powers to the agencies with checks and balances. There is an
balances.
equilibrium that follows.
So, yeah, so in effect, it has had a good impact in terms
Yeah.
of reducing incidences of,
Yes.
yeah. So at least you need to try much harder to get past it.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. No, no, I mean, it's a very, I think this is one law which is very little known in terms of general public,
You're right.
right? I mean, we all understand the CRPC, IPC, even with its new names, right?
Exactly.
And which has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But this is something which is relatively new, and the agencies involved are quite a few.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't touch the
Always,
common man very often.
what is interesting to note is it, to a large extent, follows the international standards
Yeah.
of financial crime. The Financial Intelligence Unit has set international standards at the time of establishment of the Act. And we are
Mm.
signatories of those international standards as well. Ultimately, the root of black money and proceeds of crime are plenty. It can be used for drugs, terrorism, etc. What is the law? If let's argue reverse. Let's remove PMLA out of the picture. How do
Right.
you stop the banking frauds, the terrorist money, the drug
Yeah.
money that will flow easily into our system? How will you stop the blatant economic crimes that individuals or the companies commit, knowingly or unknowingly? If you remove PMLA, there is no law that can come in its place to stop this.
Mm.
So it is a very important act for the strengthening of our economy, I would say.
It is. I think it is. And I mean, the points you made about the money flow,
Yeah.
especially into terror funding or things like that, is, I mean, at the end of the day, it actually eats away the structure of the country itself. I mean,
Absolutely.
there have been classic cases of other countries which have gone through it.
Yeah.
I've been in one where it's eaten away. So I've been in the Philippines where it's had a great impact.
There you
The amount of money that flows into or used to flow in before, it's quite high.
Yeah. If,
So
if
Mexico is another
yeah,
example.
yeah, Mexico. If PMLA had an adverse effect of negatively affecting our country, then our country would not be the second largest economy of the world right now.
Yeah, understood. No, it is required. I mean, checks and balances were probably required. They've come in place now. And I think it's like you said, it is what's available to somebody today is very different from what it was maybe a few years back.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good evolution of the law, and I'm sure every law has evolved over time. I mean, we are seeing the evolved versions of the older laws today, but this is at least I don't know what it was before. Uh, that's a fact. Now, the other part is that I mean, this is more of a request to you. I think I spoke to you even earlier. It'll be good to have each chapter
Yeah.
explained in 5-minute spots, which I've been wanting to do with you. So maybe now that the courts are closed, or
Yes.
we can probably look at that now. I think it'll be
Absolutely.
very interesting.
The perfect time, and I have already formulated my script for the same. I'm ready when you
Yeah,
are.
fair enough. So I will get back to you on that. On
Anytime.
a Yeah, on a totally different topic. I mean, this is something that as a publisher, it obviously bothers me. But for example, this has nothing to do with financial crime in the real sense of financial crimes, but the crime that is really picking up, which is affecting our industry, which is the publishing industry, is piracy,
Hmm.
for example, right?
Yeah.
And the reason I'm talking about it today is because when I had come to Bombay this time, I did spend some time going into the market the previous day. And to my shock and surprise, the incidences were quite high.
Hmm.
And we are talking about good content. I don't want to name
Yeah.
names in terms of publishers and stuff, but good content, right?
Mhm.
Now, it is in a way affecting, it is a financial crime in that sense.
Yeah,
It
you can say
is,
that. Absolutely. You can
it
say
is a
that.
financial crime. Yeah, it is a financial crime. It
Yeah.
is something that is eating away at a particular industry.
Yeah.
So do you think that is there anything, because currently the law is not very helpful to publishers on this
Publisher.
aspect. Yeah.
So the copy
Which,
So the copyright, trademark, intellectual property protects designs, products up to a certain limit. But the bigger question is, you're right, how do you stop the blatant use of uh, copyright of books? I'll give you, I have also been surprised when I'm at the signal in the car. The famous, these famous books which sell
yeah,
for a substantial amount on Amazon and platforms are available in peanuts at these signals,
yeah.
and there is no question of there is no thought whether the book will any important pages would be absent or not. There is
Yes.
blatant purchase of such books.
Yeah.
Right below my office, there is a library on the streets of these famous books.
No, I mean, see, I agree with you, because I think all cities have this, and
Yeah.
it used to be very, very common in fiction, non-fiction. It's extended to other things as well. And like I said, without naming the title and without naming the publisher, for example, a book which is about, say, in 50,000 rupees is selling for about 15,000.
Yeah, I
One
know.
five, one five. So my question actually is different. My question is that under the current law,
Yeah,
anybody who's pirating a book gets away within a day or
yeah,
two, right?
yeah,
Because it's considered, and it is categorized under copyright infringement,
yeah,
not, whereas it's actually a different form of crime,
yeah.
right?
If the person, probably the person who's masterminding this, is earning huge sums of money,
Huge sums. Yes.
and that is essentially he's earning it through committing a crime,
Crime. Yes.
and that money is proceeds of crime.
Yes. Exactly.
So
So
it should definitely, I would in fact go further and say that PMLA Act should be amended to include the offenses of copyright infringement.
yeah, see, for example, if it's an invention of some kind and I'm trademarking it or copywriting it or whatever, or if it's a book, let's say I'm taking one paragraph from a book and using it somewhere, um, it doesn't give me financial, um, what's the word for it? Gain to the extent that I would get by what people are doing today.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there are two forms of it, right?
absolutely.
One is plagiarism,
Blatant.
yeah, and the other is complete.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about the second one.
Yeah, the book looks like the original book. It feels
Yeah,
like the original book. It has the
exactly.
same dimension as the original book. The
Yeah,
color
yeah.
scheme is also the same. There is no difference.
No, it's something that, I think, I don't know how to bring this up with the authorities, but this is something that is becoming an issue.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'll take your thoughts on that. And I'm sure that if
Think
any
you have
other
given
publisher
me
watches this,
I think you have given me food for thought for my next book. I'm going to research this in depth and come up with something.
I'll give you some material for that.
Thank you. I would gladly take it.
I have some material on that. See, the difficulty is this. The difficulty is that it's very difficult to get publishers together on this.
Yeah.
And it's been on for a while, and most of us don't do much about it because we don't have the support of the enforcing authorities.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of money, you get people, and then you get them, raided or whatever, and then they go behind bars, come out in 48 hours,
Yeah. And
and
start.
you feel like a fool.
Yeah. Probably the laws were stricter if they were non-bailable offenses. The punishment was more stringent. Perhaps
Yeah.
there could be some streamlining and some regulation of this.
But on the flip side, I will also admit this. As a publisher and as publishers, we also need to look at how we price books so that they don't become unaffordable and therefore lead to piracy. That's also there. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't deny that either.
Yeah.
That is also there. So there's always a second side to it, right? So
Yeah, probably they're tapping a market which they know it's open because I would love to read a book which is cheaper than the original. Perhaps
exactly.
the
Yeah.
perception
I
is
mean,
there.
see, I mean, we have tried multiple things. We have tried different things, but it doesn't seem to work. And so I think it's only about awareness that we can spread right now. Now, the other part of the conversation that I want to have with you is what is your advice to youngsters
Passion.
to passion to come into
Choose
this
the
field?
Yeah, choose the first to come into this field and to choose the area of law which is which you have passion about. It could be maritime law. There is
Hmm.
hardly practice in the maritime law, but there are
Yes,
counsels who are doing phenomenal in the maritime law because they have
hmm,
a passion for the subject. They understand the ship, vessels, the nuances of it. It's only because it's going to occupy 12 to 8 to 12 hours of your day.
hmm,
If you want to be a successful lawyer, you have to read a lot, read
hmm,
every day. It is difficult to have the reading habit on a daily basis.
yes,
It will come only naturally to any individual if he has passion for the subject, because passion brings curiosity of mind,
yes,
and the curiosity brings there's a Japanese book called Ikigai.
yes,
The concept is that if you like something, you are so consumed by it, you don't regard the time. You don't know how many hours have gone by. You're
yes,
completely in the zone and consumed by it. And
yes.
it is only if you have that kind of passion, that love for the subject, will you achieve that level of professionalism, quality work, and recognition. A lot of my peers have seen the fancy offices of the corporate world and they have gone into the corporate offices. The work is great. There is no, I'm not arguing against it. But if your passion does not lie in the corporate work, and if you can not look, and if you can look beyond the money, the let me give my example. My friends, I'm giving a very practical example. My friends were earning a fatter salary than I was earning in litigation when we started out.
Right,
But in the longer run, there is a difference that is forming now
right.
because you are creating your own brand, your own
Yes.
name, and your semi monopoly, if I have to put it. Why
Yeah, I
does
agree. Yeah.
so? I think my suggestion would be for the young lawyers, young law students, if law is what you've recognized as you want to practice, please
Mhm.
choose the area of law as per your passion and not the starting package of any firm or chambers.
Completely. And I think it's very, very good advice. And to your point about the corporate, since I've been on both sides of the table, I can tell you that one of the biggest things that I feel today, after having started my own company, is two things. One, a sense of freedom, of course.
Yeah,
That's bound to be there. And
absolutely.
the second thing is that there are many times that we have ideas, we have thoughts which you cannot accomplish in a corporate world.
Mr.
So
Ravishankar,
today I can.
we would not be having this conversation if I was in a firm because I
Yeah,
would not be allowed to do my own book.
correct.
And if you were in a corporate structure, you would be taking my interview, my this podcast today.
Absolutely. And I mean, again, without in my previous avatar, I couldn't have done this.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't have done this because you have to go through the channel, tell people as to why it's required, what it's going to do. So my thought process for this channel was very simple. It took me about 5 minutes to decide that I wanted to start this channel. I
Wow.
just went ahead. That's all.
Amazing.
There was no thought beyond that. The only thought I had was that there is a need for people to know about who authors are, what makes them tick, what makes them write on specific subjects. 95% of the time, authors don't do it to make money,
Absolutely not.
right? They do it because they want their knowledge to be propagated,
Absolutely.
right? And they hardly get any recognition in
Yeah.
real terms. I mean, except for the far and few who are there. But so that was the reason, and that's all. It took me about 5 minutes to decide that this is something that
Wow.
we should do. That's all.
Amazing.
And so we just started with the first interview with a colleague whom I know very well, who's a lawyer, and it just took off from there. There's no other. I could not have done this otherwise.
Honest. It's amazing
So
initiative. And
so
I would like to say something that the way your publication house have presented this book, my book PMLA Evolution, I could not have foreseen it. Without the assistance and prompt replies on the email and the guidance that you and your team provided, I would not be able to see the light of this day. And for this, I have expressed my gratitude, and I will be completely indebted, because this book for the years to come will be a highlight of my professional and personal life. And it is something that I'll be able to pass on to my next generation. That look, if nothing, your one Sunny Punamiya and the family had a published book.
no, I agree, and
It's something
I,
bigger than what you could imagine.
no, absolutely. And I remember the poem, by the way.
Yes. So
So anyway,
I
it
spoke
is
from the
it is
heart.
very important.
I spoke from the heart in the book, in the acknowledgement section, and to you today.
No, thank you very much. It's actually been a pleasure. It's taken a little longer than I expected. So thank you very much again.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.